Good day folks, Sean here from Air Photography. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the new Intergra goggles that DJI has released and the new Motion controller, the Motion 2. I must apologize for the delay in getting this video out. Life's been a little crazy. I'm in the middle of packing and moving right now. But finally I have a nice day, the weather's nice, so we can get out and test them. Now just a little bit of details in case you're not aware of these, which I'm sure everybody is by now. There has been some changes with these Intergra goggles. They're a little bit cheaper. They come in at $499, so that's going to make them a little bit more affordable for some people. But what the main differences are, you can see at the back here we have a built-in battery, so it's right all integrated, kind of hence the name. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet. I think it'll be fine, but if you're a person who does a lot of flying in one day, that could be an issue because this battery is not replaceable. I have read that you can plug a power bank into it and that will feed it some extra power, but that is something I do have to test out. They have a nice little dial system at the back here to loosen and tighten it, and it actually works quite well. At the top here we now have an optional strap. You can wear that if you want, you don't have to, but it does take a little bit of pressure off the cheekbones when you're wearing the goggles. Myself, I actually like it on there. I think it fits quite well. The fit of them is about the same. The shape is exactly the same, and for me that's good because the goggles too fit me like a glove. It's like they were tailor-made for my face. I actually really liked them. Some people have problems with them, the fit, and I will admit they do put quite a bit of pressure on the nose. Sometimes it's hard to breathe out of your nose. They kind of pinch them a little bit, but I really like the fit and the way they feel. But that top head strap here actually really helps because, when you have a lot of weight on your cheekbones, it kind of distorts your vision a little bit. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing that's different is we still have the inner pupillary distance things. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but we don't have the diopters where you can adjust for your vision. Instead, what DJI has done is included lenses in the box. Myself, I am a -2 in one eye and a -1.75 in the other eye. I also have astigmatism, so they don't really help with that. So I just put -2 on both, and they look pretty good at that. Unfortunately, if you have ordered custom lenses like from Hans VR, they are not compatible with these goggles, so just keep that in mind. They do have new ones available on their website. I do have a set on order, so it should be here later this week or early next week, and I will be doing a review of them. Some other differences are the field of view. On the Intergra goggles, it is 44 degrees. On the Goggles 2, it's 51 degrees. I'm not quite sure what difference that is going to make. I'll be testing that out when I do a test flight here in a minute, but I don't think it's going to make all that much difference. This set of goggles doesn't have the trackpad on the side. It went back to that joystick and button, which I actually prefer myself. I find that touchpad on my Goggles 2, I was constantly touching it and moving things the wrong way and changing settings accidentally. So I actually prefer that. There's no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, so you can't do any type of streaming. But one big thing is that these have GPS built into them now. So I cannot test that because I'm in Canada, so we don't have remote ID here. But now because these have GPS in them, you no longer have to plug a phone in to your goggles if you want to fly the Avata, which is going to be something really nice for some people. I think that was a good move on DJI's part. Unfortunately, I wish they had done that with the Goggles 2 as well. The other thing is that these antennas are a little bit longer, not by much, but a little bit. Some people are saying they're getting better range. I can't verify that yet. I am going to do a range test with the two different goggles to see if there's any difference. Not in this video, but I will be doing that today as well. So keep an eye out for that video if you're interested in that. And yeah, they seem like a really nice pair of goggles, and I think a lot of people are going to like them if you have been wanting to pick up a pair. You can see here I have the original one, and beside it I have the new Motion 2. The shape of them is identical. For the most part, they function the same, but there are some new really nice enhancements on the new controller. First of all, you can see here we have a joystick that moves up and down and side to side. And that is great because it just gives you a little bit more fine control over your Avata, especially if you get into a tight situation like you're in a grouping of trees. The other thing that they've done here is they've changed the trigger, and with it you can actually now move in reverse. So again, if you have to get out of a situation or you want to fly backwards, you're able to do so now. The other thing with this joystick is you can actually use that for taking off and landing. So of course you can still take off by double pressing and then holding and pressing, but if you want, double press to start the motors and then just press up on the joystick and the drone will take off. And again, if you want to land, you just hover it above your landing pad or however you're landing and just pull it down and it will go into the landing mode. And that's really good for, again, fine-tuned control. That also replaced the brake, so the red button there, the lock button, is also your brake. So if you need to brake, you just press that once and that will brake the drone. We have our mode selector here. That's also our return to home. Record button down below that, same as the original one. The other thing that they've done here is the tilt of the gimbal switch that they had there, they've changed to a dial. It's a clickable dial. You can press it to click it. And that will bring up camera settings at the bottom, quick settings, and you can scroll through and change settings. So really nice, really handy, really nice updated design. Now, whether it's worth the upgrade, I guess it's going to be different for every individual. If you're a person who loves flying with your motion controller, I think it's a worthy upgrade. Myself, I only fly once in a while with the motion controller, so I don't know how worthwhile it was for me. DJI was offering a coupon, like $90 off or $80 off, something like that. So that was what made me decide to purchase it. So yeah, today we're gonna go for a flight. We're gonna test out the new goggles and the new motion controller. So let's get everything set up and we'll get up in the air. So we are all ready to go for a flight, and I must apologize. A lot of going on here. I'm out at my sister's farm today, a lot of farm activity, so a lot of background noise. I think they even got a sledgehammer going at some point, or a jackhammer, or whatever those things are called. So yeah, it's pretty noisy here, so hopefully that won't be too distracting. Plus it's pretty windy. Maybe not the best day to be flying the Avata, doing a test, but I got to make use of the nice weather here in Canada. Spring has arrived. It's a beautiful day, about I think it's supposed to get up to 28 degrees Celsius, which is kind of crazy for this time of year. But got to make use of those nice days when they come this time of year. So we're just going to go for a flight. So I am going to start by pressing record on the side of the button here. Because I have the drone set to not automatically record when I take off, so I have to do it manually. So I'm going to hit the button. So as mentioned, we can take off differently now, and what we're going to do here is double press the red button. You can see the motors, or you may not be able to see that, but the motors have started on the Avata. And now you can see it out there in front of me. All we have to do is press up on that joystick, and as you can see, the Avata starts to raise. Now I'm going to lock the motion controller by pressing that red button, just so I can set the controller down. Don't ever set that controller down until you've locked it, because otherwise your drone will go crazy. But what I do want to show you here is that there are some settings for using that joystick. They actually added some gain settings, gain and expo settings. So let's go into our menu here. We'll bring up the menu. We'll go down to settings. We'll go to control. We'll select motion controller. And you can see here we have gain tuning. What you're going to notice right away, it's set very, very slow. So if you're reversing or moving up and down, it's going to be going very, very slow. So let's go to backward speed. As you can see, we can change it. So let's get out of there. I'll grab the motion controller again. And just keep in mind, I'm going to be showing some of the goggle view. And it's very windy today, so it's going to be very unstable, but good enough to kind of test things out. The footage saved to the memory card will be all smoothed out. So it works just the same as the original motion controller. All you have to do is move your wrist and the drone will move appropriately, or accordingly I should say. You can tilt it up to go up, tilt it down to go down. And just like before, if you want to go straight down, you can point it straight at the ground and you see that arrow pops up. Or same thing, if you want to go straight up, you can see that arrow pops up when you point it straight up. Or now we can use that joystick. You can see if I pull down, I have it set pretty slow, but you can see we are lowering in altitude. And again, I can press up and it will raise our altitude as well, albeit it's very slow right now. So let's go for a little bit of a flight here. I'll try and keep it as smooth as I can, but the wind is not in my favor today. In fact, let's put it into sport mode here because it is flying a little slow. So we'll press the mode button. You can see we're now in sport mode. And off we go. So whether these upgrades are worthwhile, as mentioned, it's going to be different for every user. The goggles, I think if you have the goggles too, it's kind of a downgrade unless you really want that remote ID fix and the built-in battery. The goggles too, I think, are a better performing goggle, so it may not be worthwhile to upgrade. But if you don't have a set of goggles, maybe now is a good time to pick up a pair. Let's maybe head over to the forest here, or the treed area anyways, not really a forest. And same with this motion controller. For some people it's going to be a definite yes, other people not so much. You know, I don't know, if I didn't get that coupon and I didn't have this YouTube channel, I probably would have just kept the motion controller I have. It served me just fine the way it was. But yeah, it's going to be a nice upgrade for some people. And it is nice to have that reverse capability. I think some of those other features aren't as important to me, but the reverse is nice. So yeah, let's just lower altitude here a little bit. Go by this tree. And yeah, it's not going to be a very cinematic flight just for the fact that, ooh, geez, almost hit that. In spring here in Canada, everything is still dead. There's no leaves on the trees, so everything looks a little boring. But we're just testing the equipment today, so that's okay. Yeah, the motion controller and the motion controller 2, or the motion 2 I should say, it's just an amazing way to fly. DJI did a really good job at its engineering. It's so easy and intuitive. Literally anybody can just pick it up and start flying. Hopefully the audio is tolerable. Today I've just got a Sennheiser lavalier plugged into my DJI Action 2. That's what I'm filming on. I was going to use the DJI mic, but I thought for today I don't really need the distance, the wireless feature. It was just as easy to plug a lavalier right directly into it. So that's what I opted to do today. Let's maybe we'll head over to these trees over here. We'll go through a gap. It's really easy to line up with the motion controller. If it's something you're nervous about, you just have to line where you want to go up, or where you want to go, I should say. I do have to watch, there's some hydro wires there, so I don't want to be up too high. Hopefully there's no tall trucks going by. I did take a quick look, I didn't see anything coming down the roads. So yeah, it's a fun way to fly, definitely. And as mentioned, some say you can get better range with these new goggles, so I will be doing that next. Actually, my next flight, when I'm done this video, I'm going to do a bit of a range test between the two goggles. And you can see that's new at the bottom. You can see that orange bar came up there. That just means that our signal's getting a little weak. That was added with the latest firmware update. And you know, that's for the Goggles 2 as well. So yeah, pretty interesting. One other thing I should mention here, I haven't seen anybody else talk about it, but the way you charge the new Motion 2 is a little bit different. With the old motion controller, you had to use a low wattage charger. Like if you had that 65 watt charger that DJI sells, you could not plug it directly in here. You had to actually plug one of those USB-A cables into the USB-A slot if you wanted to charge it. But they've changed that with this. You can now just plug a high fast charger into it and charge it, I think, a little bit faster. But it's nice you don't have to bring another cable with you if you forget. So yeah, folks, that is the new goggles and the new Motion 2. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you have any questions about it, just ask me down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them, or somebody else in the community. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.